So I was recently thinking about the apocalypse, as one does. How does this all end? You know, people have been arguing about the end of the world forever, it seems, and no one has gotten it right yet. Disappointing. I feel like that's why there are so many disaster films, because as everyone keeps waiting for it to happen, writers' rooms are filled with anxious people who need to vent about the dream they had where the moon got knocked into orbit. And of all the apocalyptic movies, I think some big object like an asteroid has always been the quintessential disaster film, as it conveys the most brutal allegory for the end of the world.
Well, it's coming. Right now, not a soul on Earth can hide from it.
You can't reason with a meteorite. No resistance, no negotiation, just death. And it's over for everyone. Alien invasion has always been a close second, often just as chaotic. It's always interesting to imagine what a rogue species would look like. The main difference is that humans can usually play their hand and put up a fight, our technology versus theirs, which is why those movies tend to flatter our intelligence by uniting us over a common enemy, which we end up defeating. So then, what happens if the enemy is us?
I have agency! I have agency and you cannot interfere! Back away from us!
Pluribus is the weirdest hive mind I have ever seen. No, I am not kidding. The show itself might be a quiet masterpiece that I really hope gets more recognition, but the hive mind it's about is so odd. Weirder than Vecna, than Unity, and even that one film from 2007 called The Invasion. And don't worry, that's exactly what we'll be doing today. Analyzing Pluribus, going through the story as it unfolds, and figuring out, just maybe, why a hive mind would have such weirdly generous behaviors towards the 13 people left on the entire planet immune to their control.
Please? We'd feel so much better if you'd hydrate.
What's in it?
Water?
Now, you may be thinking, wait a minute, aren't all hive minds weird? And my answer to that is, not this weird.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Welcome back everyone. It was really close this time in the community poll, but Pluribus just made it to the top. Although I feel bad since it was so close, I can almost guarantee I'll end up making a video essay about weapons, and especially the pit, since season 2 is just about to get to its final episodes. Hold for that. Let me know if there's some other masterpiece I should watch, or just let me know in general what other video essays you would like to see. Also, huge spoiler warning, I would love for you to watch this video, but I would much prefer you actually watched Pluribus before I spoil it for you. It's a really good show. Alright, let's hop right in. I think, even on its face, Pluribus is a show about how a completely ordinary person would behave in one of the most insane situations one could be in.
Are you going to let her continue like this? Carol, after lunch...
Rhea Seehorn stars as Carol Sturcker, a reserved, sensitive, sober, mostly sober, hardened writer who was living a completely ordinary life 10 minutes ago, having a drink with her wife at a bar, when suddenly the whole world had one giant epileptic seizure, putting everyone into stasis, even people who were just driving cars. During the chaos, Carol's wife Helen suffers a fall, and the concussion ends up killing her just around the time everyone seems to snap out of whatever took hold of them. Carol notices something is immediately wrong. Everyone is moving differently, acting differently, and whoever is left is greeting Carol with creepy amounts of concern and reassurance.
We just want to help, Carol.
Rewinding to how this all unfolds, episode 1 opens with a shot of scientists scratching their heads over finding an undocumented signal beaming towards Earth via satellite. The signal itself is not dangerous. However, everyone quickly rushes over to try and decipher it, assuming it must be some kind of message from another planet, until one such worker figures out it's not a 4-tone message.
You go to all that trouble to send a message. It's gotta be more than just hello.
Basically, scientists fuck around and find out. Whatever they ended up creating in the lab finally takes hold of one of the test rats, and cause movie has to movie, the lab rat bites one of the workers and it rapidly spreads from there. As we later learn, the hive mind has insane levels of coordination, which is why they were able to infiltrate the military and eventually organize an apocalypse level event, spreading the virus to everyone all at once.
Look at that. What do you think they're doing?
What I loved about the pilot is that even after all this is said and done, all the mayhem Carol just witnessed, she pours herself another steady drink, sits on the couch, gathers her thoughts, and crashes the fuck out.
I guess to start with, what the fuck is happening?
I'll confirm now, Carol is a great character. She is tense, spirited, defensive, but really honest too. We can see plain as day that she is not a superhero. She knows that, especially. Her struggle is so human, which adds to the irony that she is really just an ordinary woman fighting the impossible. We barely know what's going on or how to fix it, just as she does, which makes for a really charming and sobering viewing experience. Alright, so the first weird thing that we notice...
Who am I talking to right now? Who are you?
You are currently talking to every person on Earth.
Davis Taffler, the person the Hivemind puts on the TV at the end of the pilot, basically renounces society, explains the origins of the hive, and has a fully animated presentation ready to go just so Carol knows exactly what's going on. In the roughly 2 hours since the apocalypse hit, the Hivemind has already filmed, animated, and produced an infographic video and set up a phone line just for Carol, just in case she has any questions.
We feel like we're doing all the talking here.
Why? Why would a Hivemind even care to explain its literal origins to one of 13 people apparently immune to them? Offer them food, medicine, and reassurance?
Your well-being is of utmost importance to us.
The episode ends with a cryptic,
"We will figure out what makes you different.
Figure it out, why?
So we can fix it."
And it's obvious the Hivemind has not given up on claiming Carol, they are just really, really nice about it. Episode 2 introduces us to one of the main characters from the Hivemind called Zosha. Also, it becomes a running gag that Carol can't stop nearly killing Zosha every episode, but we'll get to that.
Right, like you would give me a real hand grenade.
Even this moment is weird because the Hivemind admits they specifically chose this woman's appearance when trying to approach Carol for the first time. They thought she would be non-threatening, as Zosha is reminiscent of the female version of the love interest from Carol's romantic novel, which she originally wrote about a woman.
Hell is this? Are you supposed to be my character, Raban? Why?
So, a world-conquering Hivemind is concerned about coming off as non-threatening to one person. Okay. Episode 2 escalates to 100 very quickly. This time, Carol crashes out in Zosha's face, and she, along with everyone, has another seizure. So it seems we already know one of the Hivemind's weaknesses. Being yelled at. Just like all the people who died in the pilot because they had a seizure while driving some sort of motor vehicle, just by yelling in Zosha's face, millions of people in the Hivemind died for the same reason.
You killed 11 million.
You don't think it sounds wonderful?
No.
How could you not ask them what it's like? Raise your hand if you ask them. You sit there and you tell us, we must do this, we must do that, but you don't even bother to educate yourself.
Also, if you're wondering who all these annoying people are at the table, they are an even smaller group of all the remaining survivors that Carol tracks down during episode 2, and it's so funny and frustrating that they are also unconcerned with the situation. As that part of the episode was unraveling, I legit thought the Hivemind was trying to trick Carol into believing that they were survivors by posing as them.
I'm open to suggestions.
Who's hungry?
Even the significance of how rare they are doesn't seem to hit them at all, so I guess they might just not understand the concept of a Hivemind, and they just think everyone's nice and like, it's like a spiritual awakening. I don't know. Carol originally thought all these survivors would join her in the resistance and share in her fire to free humanity, but they all turn out to be complacent, incompetent sheep.
You are traitors. You are traitors to the human race!
In this scene, we also learn one of the main rules of the Hivemind. This is only episode 2, by the way.
We don't kill.
They won't even smack a wasp that has landed on their skin. They are, however, happy to provide gourmet food to the humans as long as the animals are already dead. Very, very odd. In episode 3, on top of their overt niceness, we see just how far the hive mind is willing to accommodate Carol's demands.
Anything else we can do for you, just let us know.
And obviously Carol is the only dependent thing left in her city, so she kind of can't avoid Zosha and the hive mind forever, needing things like food. When she walks to her local supermarket, she finds it completely hollowed out.
What the fuck?
And when asked for it to be brought back, the hive mind restocks it for her in like 10 minutes. In this episode, we get a sense that the hive mind seems extremely preoccupied with efficiency for some reason. Whatever resources are left on Earth, they want to gather and preserve as much of it as possible, going as far as to shut down the entire grid at night. And sleep on top of each other to preserve heat. And even though Carol doesn't trust them, I sure as shit wouldn't, she is eventually curious enough to invite Zosha inside to try and have a more in-depth conversation with her. Carol, adorable, relatable Carol, crashes out, again, over the grid being shut down, and sarcastically says,
I'm fine. I'm so happy. There is nothing wrong with me that a fucking hand grenade wouldn't fix. You got one of those? Because I think that would be the perfect topper for the greatest week in human history.
Zosha then brings her a hand grenade, and they chat for a bit. Carol points out that it's contradictory that they keep saying she has all this agency, and they're willing to give it to her, but they won't stop trying to figure out how to turn her either. And they certainly don't care about her consent in the matter, because Zosha explains that to them, it feels like Carol is drowning, which is why it feels involuntary that they have to figure out how to turn her.
I mean, I guess I have agency just until I don't?
Carol, if you were walking by a lake and you saw somebody drowning, would you throw him a life preserver? Of course you would. You wouldn't think, you wouldn't wait, you wouldn't try to get consensus on it, you'd just throw it.
Carol then fiddles with a grenade, believing it's fake, and it blows up the living room.
Right, like you would give me a real hand grenade.
Carol, if we may.
Episode 3 ends with one of the strangest interactions I have ever seen between a human and a hive mind.
If I asked right now, would you give me another hand grenade?
Yes.
Even after last night, you would give me another?
Oh, sure.
The next day, Carol sits opposite another member of the hive mind and is confused why they would give her a grenade in the first place.
Why would you give me a hand grenade?
You asked for one.
Not only that.
What about, I don't know, a tank?
Why? Why would a hive mind give an immune person military weapons that can actually be used to hurt them? Even when Carol gives them permission to say no, they can't. And the peak of this weird scene is Carol literally asks for an atomic bomb.
What about an atom bomb?
Why would you want one?
To blow shit up? For kicks? I mean, does it matter? You gave me a grenade, for fuck's sake.
If you truly wanted a nuclear weapon, we would weigh the pros and cons with you. We would explain that it would be very destructive.
Yes or no?
Ultimately, yes.
It seems that the hive mind cannot stop itself from compulsively acting like a 24/7 butler, waiter, and ambulance service.
We would move heaven and earth to make you happy, Carol.
Need I remind you that 1 person out of 8 billion is like 0.0012%. In episode 4, Carol learns that the hive mind also can't lie, and they treat everything about Carol's books as perfect.
How would you say my work compares to Shakespeare?
Equally wonderful.
Further emphasizing their total inability to protest, offend, disagree, or speak ill about anyone, which leads to an interesting paradox. When Carol asks the hive mind what her wife Helen thought about her books, as they assimilated Helen before she died, but because Helen didn't like her work, the hive mind struggles to say it out loud. If the request makes her happy, they want to do it, but if completing the request makes her unhappy, it gives the hive mind like a brain fart.
What did Helen think of my books? Tell me.
Helen loved you very much.
Not what I asked, Larry.
Episode 4 escalates with Carol's first big plan.
I don't think you can lie to me. I don't think it's something you can do.
She thinks that she can isolate Zosha from the hive mind by drugging her with heroin, hoping to numb her connection and impair her rational thinking long enough so she can be tricked into giving Carol the cure.
Zosha, you with me? I need you to answer some more questions, okay? How do I reverse all this? How do I reverse the joining?
No.
Zosha.
Sadly, Carol's plan doesn't work, and it only takes the hive mind seconds to notice something is wrong and surround her.
Zosha, is this something I can do? Is it something one person can do?
God, this scene was so cool, by the way. I think this scene is actually way more important the more I watch it, and I'm sure in season 2 we'll get way more answers.
Tell me. Tell me.
A few things to notice. In the next episode, whatever Carol did had such a negative impact on the hive mind, it made not just this section cry, she literally made the whole world cry. Then the hive mind, I am not kidding, packs everything up and evacuates the entire city.
Are you fucking kidding me?
For lack of a better term, I have never ever seen a hive mind so emotionally fragile. It's like a breakup. I imagine them going to counseling being like,
we are just feeling really disrespected, you know. This one woman on the planet we took over doesn't like us very much. And then she kept asking how to stop the hive mind. We are just feeling really disturbed.
Alright, now we get to what the actual fuck. In episode 5 and 6, Carol, now alone and abandoned, wanders the city and ends up finding cartons and cartons of milk. Curious, she tracks it down to a dairy plant and further follows breadcrumbs, identifying a strange coarse powder that is being mass-produced instead of actual milk. And whatever is being produced is definitely not milk. Further following a trail that ends up leading her to a warehouse where... yeah, they eat people. They eat people. Yeah. Carol learns that the hive mind is storing bundles and bundles of human corpses, and yeah, freaking out as I would be too. This is not even the weirdest part.
Hello, Carol. We're John Cena, and we're here to address some questions you may be having regarding our food supply. As you know, we can't purposely kill, harm, or otherwise interfere with any form of life. Because when we say any life, that includes plant life. We can't harvest wheat or corn or rice. We can't pluck an apple from a tree. Once an apple drops of its own accord, well, we'll eat it, of course, and gratefully. Indeed, we harvest all the windfall we can find, and there's pre-existing food, millions of tons of it, except for one small problem. We're facing a caloric deficit, and to make up for it, we've had to take certain measures. This is how we get our sustenance, human-derived protein. And yep, that's pretty much what it sounds like. Nearly 100,000 people pass away each day due to natural causes and accidents. Those human remains, which would otherwise go to waste, are our source of HDP. We cherish the memory of these people and appreciate their sacrifice. We hope that clears things up. As always, your well-being is of the utmost importance to us. Any comments, concerns, call anytime, day or night, and leave a voicemail. We regret not being able to speak to you directly, but for the time being, we need our space.
So, to sum it up, a global hive mind is so protective of the planet they enslaved that they won't even harvest plants, and instead of killing animals, they wait for their own kind to die of starvation before grinding them up into human-derived chicken stock. And instead of acting threatened, ignoring or killing the 13 people left to possibly stop them, they fawn, wait on, and bend over backwards to keep them entertained and satisfied at all times, being willing to give one an atomic bomb.
It'd be okay to say no at this point. That would be sane. Not utterly batshit crazy.
Yelling into their faces causes the hive mind to short circuit, and if you keep pressing them on how to beat them, instead of hurting you, they leave you a voice message and fuck off.
After everything that's happened, We just need a little space.
Compared to literally every other hive mind I know, Pluribus is weird. Where is the cruelty? Hive minds are supposed to be inherently selfish, as their whole purpose is to take everyone for themselves.
I will become the universe, and I will be what the single-minded once called a god.
And while yes, it's true that Zosha wants to convert Carol as well, even if you explained away their niceness as a way of mitigating the negative emotions the immune might direct at them, I can't for the life of me understand why a hive mind would be preoccupied with giving all this attention to one person, or why a hive mind would starve itself just to preserve life other than its own. The animals in the show aren't even assimilated, but Pluribus would nonetheless eat its own corpses on retainer then kill members of another species. As a quick comparison, the Evasion starring Nicole Kidman has a hive mind that also spreads through saliva. The affected are mostly emotionless, but they can deceive and act human just enough to get close to their prey.
I took down your plates.
Well, hold on. Why did you take down my plates? Why did you take down my plates?
But also have no remorse in killing those who pose a threat, meaning even if there was 13 immune on Earth, they would just kill them and be done with it. Earth colonized. Unity, from Rick and Morty, acts way more like one person with just multiple appendages, but they can also assimilate anything, including animals. Their desire to assimilate feels more like a power move rather than a compulsion, which means if they wanted to take Earth, they would.
If I wanted Earth, I would have taken it.
Oh, give me a break. So Earth colonized. And Vecna and the Mind Flare are relentless monsters who will actively kill anyone who gets in their way. And if 11 wasn't there, Vecna would have easily won in the Stranger Things final. So Earth colonized. Since Pluribus has got a green flag for season 2, obviously Carol and her eventual ally Manusos, whom she meets in the final episode, before they can figure out how to turn her, the fact that the hive mind has even given Carol as many resources as they have, and will continue to give her resources as they do, will be the ultimate reason they lose. And that's my point. This hive mind is so painfully counterintuitive. If they just never interacted with Carol and stayed 20 miles away from her at all times, it would have just been game over. We lose. If I had one theory of my own to share, I think this hive mind has a queen who, if killed, breaks the spell for everyone. But who knows? The larger motivation might still be a mystery. I guess we'll have to wait for season 2. Thanks for watching. Let me know down below what you would do if you had to face this hive mind. And if you like this video essay and are a fan of Community or Stranger Things, here are my videos talking about why it's worth being vulnerable by Jeff Winger. And listen to me rant about the disaster that was season 5 for Stranger Things. Thanks for watching. See you soon.